हॅलो, हॅलो. तिला कनेक्ट नाही करता येते ह्याला Teamsला. ते नुसतं कनेक्टिंग म्हणून गोल-गोल फिरतंय. जॉइनच नाही होत आहे. असं दिसतंय कारण म्हणजे ते परमिट करावं लागतं वगैरे तसं नाहीये ना काही, की अ, WhatsApp पाठवू शकते, की प्रणवने पाठवलेलं तसं पाठवते मग WhatsApp. ठीक आहे चालेल. हां, चालेल. ओके. Madam, she has joined. So we can see if uh, we can check. Hello, everybody. So, last 4 days, we have been hearing about the semiconductors and silicon based memories. So, today we have the opportunity to see how we can improve the carbon based memories, that is, our own bodies and mind, and the memory improvement by use of yoga and meditation. So, welcome. Miss Madhumita Paranspe, Dr. Madhumita Paranspe, our honorary guest for today's session. Dr. Madhumita Paranspe is a distinguished practitioner specialized in Ayurveda, yoga therapy, and acupuncture, currently based in Toronto, Canada. With a robust academic foundation and extensive clinical experience, she is a dedicated to providing holistic healthcare solutions tailored to individual needs. Dr. Paranspe earned her Bachelor of Ayurvedic Medicine Surgery degree in 2009, followed by a Doctor of Medicine, that is MD, in Sharir Rachana from Tirak Ayurved Mahavidyalaya, Pune. She is currently advancing her expertise through a registered acupuncture program at the Toronto School of Traditional Chinese Medicine, expected to be completed in 2025. Her professional journey includes serving as an Ayurveda and yoga consultant at uh, Integrative Cancer Clinic in Marine Lines, Mumbai from 2021 to 2023. Additionally, she has been a consulting Ayurvedic physician and acupuncture practitioner at Sri Samvedhana Ayurveda and Acupuncture Clinic in Thane from 2014 to 2023. Dr. Paransby also offer online yoga classes catering to both patients and individuals seeking to enhance their well-being. Dr. Paranspe's clinical focus encompasses a range of health concerns, including musculoskeletal and neurological disorders such as arthritis, spondylitis, sciatica, and sports injuries. The lifestyle disorders like obesity, diabetes, IBS, PCOC, and others. She employs specialized panchakarma treatment, customized diet plans, and yoga protocol alongside conventional treatments to promote holistic healing. So let us give warm welcome to Dr. Madhumita Paranspe and uh, let her share her expertise in yoga and meditation. So today we will be focusing only on the chair yoga, as we can do the yoga only sitting in our chairs, and also see a little more on how we can use meditation to enhance our performance. So welcome. I'm now hand over to Dr. Madhumita Paranspe. So welcome, Dr. Madhumita Paranspe, to our FDP. Hello. Hello. Yeah, actually, she is able to hear, but there is some problem with her mic. Actually, her mic is not getting enabled. Hello. Hello. You can try now. Okay. Still, she sees like your mic has been muted from host.
Actually, ask her to raise the hand so that actually proper person's thing can be enabled. Okay.
Maybe you can try now. Maybe you can try to connect once again.
Yeah, enable computer audio.
Okay, so I'll share the presentation on behalf of Madhumita, Dr. Madhumita, and I will also share the presentation, and she can talk through this phone.
So I need to keep my phone on. That's what you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so now we are on the first slide.
I can see my first slide on the screen. Have you started sharing?
Yeah, I've started sharing.
Yeah, now I got the first slide.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll start here. Is my audio clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, perfect. So, good evening, everybody. I'm so sorry for the technical hassles that we had to go through. And I believe it was just a lesson from the universe because today I'm going to be speaking on stress management. And how better can the universe help you by showing you a stressful situation and see how you respond to it? So, thank you everybody for facilitating this technical, in spite of being hassles. Thank you for facilitating through the cell phone and through sharing from the host end. Okay. I welcome one and all for this rejuvenating session of yoga. And I believe you have had a full day of hectic brainstorming sessions. Next slide, please.
I hope you can see the next slide.
Yeah, I can see it now. I think there is some lag, but
Yeah.
anyway, it's fine. As long as it works. I am seeing the second slide on my screen, which says stress. Can we really avoid it? And just like what happened a while ago, we just had a stressful situation here and we had to put our hands together and make it work. And I'm glad it helps. Let us look at the first picture, how stress affects the body. And I'm sure all of us have had encounters with these kinds of reactions. They may be mild to moderate to very intense, depending on what kind of situation we are in. and what kind of stressful parameters are happening around us. So you look at this headache, heart palpitations, increased blood pressure, digestive upset, rash, muscle tension, fatigue, dry mouth, or insomnia. On the other hand, if you look at the picture, there are some noticeable effects and some hidden effects. So, noticeable effects, you can already feel your muscles getting tense, breathing becomes shallow and fast, and you start palpitating in your heart. Your face has a good pink flush, a red flush. You can feel your pulse dropping, and maybe your fingers are jittering with nervousness, you shake. And the hidden effects is the body gets you ready for action, the fight or flight response. The liver releases a lot of glucose to provide energy for the muscles. The body perceives this as a threat, and it feels that it needs to make you, from the evolutionary perspective, it needs to make you ready to go and fight to the oncoming threat, or maybe take a flight, run away, and escape from the threat. So there's a lot of adrenaline that is released, cortisol is released, all these stress hormones in your blood flow. They begin to depress the immune system. So in a way, if you are stressed out, and all these hormones are keeping you prepared to fight the threat. And you fight the threat, and after this, the stress response goes away. In our modern world, though, after the threat has gone away, we do not know how to come back to a normal, natural resting state. This happened from an evolutionary perspective when we used to be out in the Stone Age hunting, and you see a predator, and then this as a stress response. And then after you have killed the predator or you have escaped to a safe spot, the body begins to come down to a parasympathetic aspect, begins to rest, begins to come down to normalcy, to a relaxed state. And all of these blood extra hormones go back to their present. However, in our modern world, it doesn't happen. We have one stress response after the other, one after the other, failing to relax in between. What happens is most of our blood flow will always have a high volume of cortisols and adrenaline and glucose, raised blood sugar levels, raised cortisol, adrenocortical hormones to keep your stress response always ready, to keep your body always in a state of alertness. That creates problem. Next slide, please. Okay, so now that we know that we cannot really avoid stress because it's going to be there like a permanent fixture, let us see if we can help ourselves to become in a way that we make stress worthwhile. Look at this graph from Doddson's stress performance curve. Now, as we all know, when we have a little bit of stress called as eustress or good stress, we actually perform better because we are on our toes, alert, focused, and aware. So your body and mind are all aware, attentive, and focused to deliver a performance. So if you really look at it, your peak performance happens when your stress levels are just optimal, not too less and not too more. If you are very less stress levels, you don't care at all. You become complacent, you become lazy and bored. And if you have more of stress levels, you will become fatigued, exhausted, you may have anxiety attacks and panics. So in order to keep our stress level at the bare minimum or at the optimum level, in order to achieve a peak performance, is what we should look for. So instead of looking for an objective like no stress or let me manage my stress, let me start using a good word saying that let me use my stress for my peak performance. And we will find answers to this through what we are doing today. Next slide, please. Along with the stress, what do all of us have in common now? We sit at our computers, at our desk, finishing the day's work. So essentially, sitting is the new smoking because there's lack of movement, sitting in one place, we have stiff joints, tight muscles, and poor flexibility. This also hamper our mental capacities because we don't move around. Our mind also feels restricted. There is a lack of flexibility, lack of creativity, and lack of out of box thinking. All of this is the resultant of a sedentary lifestyle, being restricted with small space, doing all of the work. So we are actually dealing with the world from our small space. Next slide, please.
Can you see the next slide?
No, I cannot.
Okay, it's already there.
Now I can see it.
Okay.
Now we spoke about, can yoga provide the answers? However, we are in a restricted space, so let us modify it to make it work for us in terms of asanas or body postures, helping the body move. In terms of meditation, helping the mind relax. And in terms of pranayama or breathing exercises to harmonize our breath. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's move on to the body postures or the yogasanas. Now we all know that we cannot really perform yogasanas in this posture. However, let us do what we can in where we are in the picture of yoga. I would appreciate if all of you could turn on your videos so we could do it together and give us some time. Do we have everyone on video? Because I cannot see anybody.
Yeah, actually, we will not be able to see everybody because there are too many participants. So
Okay.
video will not be turned
Okay.
off. Will be turned off actually.
Sure.
So uh, you can.
Okay. So let me proceed. And now there are two chair yoga positions that all of us can practice. These are at a beginner level. And I'm assuming that we don't have any background of yoga or movement, body work movement. To bare minimum basic positions. So we are going to utilize full plant range of movement. So let's start with the upper one, the fingers. I hope you can feel my fingers and my hand raised up at the shoulder level. What I'm going to do is stretch my fingers out and be mindful when I stretch and squeeze my fingers. So even if we cannot turn on our videos, please do it along with me and feel the difference. Stretch your fingers out and so that you have a wide loop between the two fingers. Then out and squeeze it in. Stretch out and squeeze it in. Do it with all of your focus. Perfect. And when you're doing this at your finger, also feel the stretch going over your forearm and your arm, running down from the shoulders. Perfect. And next, from wrist movements. Now, if you put all of your attention with the movement, a mindful of the movement, it helps to harmonize your body and mind in one simple action. I want this remain just as an action, not as a posture or asana. So wrist, sideways. All of us use our computers, our now that restricts our wrist movement. So use this opportunity to move your wrist in all directions. Next comes your elbow. So just bend and bend the elbow. And you could also do this on your sides. Bend and relax. And up above your head, bend and relax. Be mindful of the movement Otherwise, it just remains like an action. Next, we move on to the shoulder. We're going to raise the shoulder and lower it down. And try to touch the shoulder to your ear. As you bring it down, feel it releasing. You could do it with one side or both sides of the shoulder, depending on how comfortable you feel. And then make circular movements at the shoulder. Slow and focused. So all of your attention should be on this one movement that you're doing. The more focused you are, the more present you are in the movement, the better it will help you harmonize your body and mind. And finally, the neck. So just up and down movement with the neck. Do these movements very slowly. Some of the bodies are called diaphragmatic neck, cervical spondylosis. Use your hands to support your neck. And be very gentle in pushing the weight of your head very slowly up and down. Okay. And also the breast movement, side to side. And try to be here, holding the position on your sides, and you could also support with your hand. And put your hands behind your neck and begin to rotate circular movements. Imagine if you will let go of the weight of your head when you bend your neck. 2 or 3 times clockwise and 2 or 3 times counterclockwise. Okay. The same we could do with the lower limb, the two knee and hips. I know it is a little tricky to do on a here. This is what we did with the fingers, but do with the toes. You may not be able to see it, but just squeeze your toes and stretch them out, even if it's inside your feet. So please stretch and relax. And the ankles, we will simply do the movement like your boot. So when we drive the car, we press the clutch and the brake, clutch and the brake. So you do the movement with ankle. So much so for the knee. So you could simply take your knee up and put it down, take your knee up and put it down, and also raise it horizontal on both sides, 1 at a time. Okay. Next, we could also do spine stretches. So we lock the hand, put on the head, and stretch. And slowly release. Be very mindful. 3 times posture. And release. Next, come your spinal twists. So simply use the armrest on the tray. And then finally to finish off, you could go with fit and recline. So simply glide on the spirit. Perfect. And if the space allows for you, you could also pull it down, forward bending down. Try to touch your fingers, feel your feet, and relax. So you could do this about 2 or 3 times daily, depending on how you work for medicine. And this wouldn't take you more than 5 to 6 minutes at a time. So I think this is a very good routine to incorporate in your business sitting view. Next slide, please. So these are just more poses that we could do after doing the joint movements. So cat and cow. So simply roll and arch your spine and then stretch it. That's your first one. Cat and cow. Simply roll it and then stretch it. That would be your raised hand. So the spine will stretch. Simply like that. Then would be the forward bend between the front and then the extended side angle on both sides. And then the pigeon pose is simply just raising one knee horizontal, pull it up, and place it down. With the eagle pose, what you're supposed to do is turn your hands and also your feet. So place one knee on the other, and then the other way around, eagle. And then the spinal twist, which you just did. For your pose, if you have a side room on your chair, you could perform the warrior one and warrior two. Then finally, Shavasana. We will perform a little bit of Shavasana towards the end. So you have this slide and you can perform your own way. Next slide, please. So what happens when we do this movement at the tail? You have an improved flexibility and a reduced stiffness. Obviously, because you are moving your partners, you are bringing your muscles to do the movement. So you have improved flexibility and you also have to enhance strength and stability because something that does not move is diagnosed as a poor blood flow. It does not become strong. When you move, the blood has to flow here and it becomes strong. So the blood carries a lot of nutrition, hormones, and energy glucose ATP there. So it offers the strength and stability. So exercise every day. You can look at them and know that they do it. You don't have to say it. Just the way they are, you can see that they are strong and stable, both mind and physical wise. Better posture and alignment. Most of us have rounded shoulders. We work at the computer desk each day, so our shoulders begin to droop down. It's important that we allow our shoulders to release, come back in a normal position. That allows our lungs to open up and breathe better. So we have a better posture and alignment with the back and shoulders. Of course, because we are moving, we have reduced stress and anxiety because we bring our attention, all attention happening at the head. Too much thinking, too much anxiety, worry, stress. Bring it back to your body, settle in your body, reduce stress and anxiety. If you are in the middle of your workday, being extremely anxious and stressed out, and you don't know what to do, just take these 5 minutes and you will see that your stress levels and anxiety levels begin to fall down and you will fall back into a grounded, calm state. Improve circulation because you are moving, blood moving everywhere. That gives you a good circulation. Helps to improve your cardiac health because the heart needs to pump nicely. Next slide, please. So now that we did our body postures, we are going to move on to pranayama or breathing exercises. Now somebody would say, if you've already taken care of the body, the blood has started moving to each part of the body, why do we really need the breathing exercises? Why do we have to focus on the breathing? Let's find out. Next slide, please. Okay, so now look at the four pictures. Look at the picture on the left, two pictures on the left. First, you see a beautiful sunset and a water screen. And the second picture on your left is at the lotus pond. What happens when you look at these pictures? So you are looking at them for a longer time, right? Because your breath settles down. For a moment, maybe you also forget to actually breathing. There's a point where you actually want something, and for that mini second, you are neither breathing in, neither breathing out. Just like you see a painting over. Thus, the breath stops. just for a minute second. This allows your body to reset, body to slow down the breathing. Look at the pictures on the right. It is most of it in the middle of the day. And the second is where we have a lot of peer pressure, we have a lot of perceived stress. So what happens when you look at these pictures? You actually feel like not so much looking at these pictures. They are not so pleasant. You want to turn yourself away from these pictures because it helps to actually increase the speed of your breathing. You don't feel nice looking at these pictures. So now we know that whatever you feel, whatever you think in your mind, you feel in you has a direct effect on the breath. So something that feels pleasant to you, something that gives you happiness, allows your breath to feel down, and something that adds in the stress, makes your breath faster. Let's use this connection forward. Next slide, please. I cannot see the next slide. Are we already there?
Yeah, I have actually put the next slide. So
Maybe there's a lag.
yeah.
I'll wait. Perfect. So you can see what we spoke about. The perceived stress is about shallow breathing and fast breathing with a squeezed body and tight muscles. And when you feel there is no stress or you are relaxed, you have muscles which are free, open, along with deep breathing and slow breathing. Next slide, please. So on the side of your neck, you have certain baroreceptors. They're actually looking for the pressure changes in your body. So these receptors, whenever you have this kind of a stressful response, they are going to immediately pick up on this and then increase your blood pressure and your heart rate, or lower down your blood pressure and heart rate. So they actually activate your sympathetic nervous system to make you ready for the fight or flight response. Or if you are relaxed, they make you activate your parasympathetic response, which is the rest and digest. So we are always in a state of sympathetic and parasympathetic. So one would say if it is so essential to be in a parasympathetic state, why not always be relaxed? But then we will not be able to do anything. Right? So you need to have a good balance of sympathetic, that is the active state, and also the parasympathetic, the restful state. So a good balance is a sign of health, is a sign of good efficiency. So the deep and slow breathing actually trick the brain into believing that you are in a relaxed state. So say for example you are stressed out, track your breath, and if you breathe fast and shallow, allow your breath to slow down and deepen. That will stimulate the vagus nerve, which goes in most parts of your body. That will trick your brain to feel that, oh, this is not so much of a big stress. I can manage this. Then you immediately come down in a parasympathetic state. This will allow your body to breathe in slowly, deeply, and allow your mind to feel that you can take care of it. You are not backward. Next slide, please. Perfect. Now let us do a box breathing where we are going to breathe in and hold our breath and then breathe out and hold our breath. So if you look at this picture, we're going to breathe in 1, 2, 3, and 4. Hold your breath inside, close your nostrils. Now breathing in, breathing out. Just hold for 4 counts. And then you breathe out for 4 counts. And don't immediately start breathing in, just hold for 4 counts. This is called as a box breathing, where you hold your breath after you breathe in, as well as after you breathe out. Even if you do 2 rounds of box breathing, you will find that your breathing has come down, speed is lowered, the breathing comes from a shallow state to a deep state, and it allows your mind to relax. Next slide, please. What happens when we have abdomen breathing? First, it actually relieves the pressure on the diaphragm, always in a state of contraction and tightness. When you breathe in, allowing the abdomen to move in and out, that allows the diaphragm to settle down. It offers the kind of a massage to your abdomen organs. It stimulates the vagus nerve, which activates the parasympathetic rest and digest response. Whenever you have stress, you have cortisol hormones, you have higher adrenaline flowing through your blood. But it allows it to settle down, reduce a little bit. Your neck and shoulders begin to relax instead of being tight. Squeezed, you begin to relax. Now, of course, when you are relaxed, you are allowing the more oxygen to flow inside, giving more efficient oxygen supply to all of your body. When you are in a relaxed state, you can grasp knowledge better, you can take decisions better, and you can have a good attention span to working with primary or attention. Next slide, please. Now, this breath and body connection was explored in the yogic tradition. According it as breath is the bridge between the mind and the body. So you see, when the body is affected, when you feel stressed, the breath can be used to change what we feel. In the yogic tradition, there's one more interesting concept. We have the left side of our body and right side of our body, and we give you the control through our nostrils. The left nostril is the Chandra Nadi, the cooler part of your body, the feminine energy. It also gives you creativity and resilience. The right side of your body, the right nostril, is called as the Surya Nadi. It's the masculine energy, it's the aggression that you have, and the decision making. Many of us face both of these kinds of scenarios in our day-to-day life. Sometimes we are expected to stand up for ourselves and take a decision quickly. That's when the right nostril will be active, or you can activate it if it's not. And sometimes you really have to have a creative way of looking at things. You are stuck in a problem and you don't know what to do. Instead of pressing it out, or instead of just aggressively, I cannot do what I can. Instead of that, just step back into your feminine energy, be a little passive, allow your creative juices to flow, and tell you what to do. Finding a solution happens from the left hand to the other side. Let's now look at how we can activate the left and the right side. Slide please. So the Chandra Nadi breathing is to stimulate the left side, right? So we are going to use our right nostril and put that just going to breathe in from the left, hold your breath, and breathe out with the left. Same side. And the second step, we are going to breathe in with the left and hold your breath. And then breathe out from the right. So you could use these two steps to activate the left side of your body, the Chandra Nadi, whenever you feel yourself stuck and you want your creative juices to flow and find the out of box solution. Next slide, please. Surya Nadi. So on the scenarios that you feel that you have to actually step up and take a decision to have that confidence, you need to use the Surya Nadi, the right side. So close your left nostril and breathe in with the right. Hold your breath and breathe out with the right. And second step, breathe in with the right, hold your breath, and then breathe out with the left. This activates the right side of your body. So you could use both of these left and right hands to activate either side, left and right. Now, on a normal state, you should practice equal left and equal right. But if you know that your tendencies are usually that you get stressed out easily, you go anxious and have panic attacks, then you should practice more of the left side. And if you think that you need to have some self-confidence, you are usually a little complacent and lazy, and you need some motivation from your body, use the right side. Next slide, please. Next, we're going to use some Bhramari. So what we do is we make the use of our own sound to slow us down, to help us calm down. So what we do is we close our eyes with palms over our eyes, or you could also place your palms over your ears to close down the external stimuli, or you could also place the palms over your head to actually feel the vibrations travel in your body. Breathe in deeply and make a humming sound like a bee with pursed lips. This helps to calm down the nerve and promotes inward attentiveness and intuition. Obviously, when you are going to be closed to the external surrounding, all of your attention is going to be inward. Your inner voice is going to tell you more. So I'm going to just quickly demonstrate one round of primary. I'm going to place my hands over my head, close my eyes. And feel the sound traveling. That's how you could do primary. Next slide, please. Let's move on to the next step. So we've taken care of the body with yoga postures, we've taken care of the breath with breathing exercises, and then we now move on to meditation, where we pause, breathe, and resume. I'm sure all of us must have seen this movie in trailer, and we'll see how this woman goes from a stressed state in her life to a relaxed state in her life, becoming more balanced as an individual. Right, please. And there is a beautiful saying that comes up as the essence of this movie, and I like it very much. I would say far niente, if I'm pronouncing it right in Italian. It's just the sweetness of doing nothing. I like to look at meditation as the sweetness of doing nothing. Because all of our modern existence teaches us to do, and to more, and nobody really teaches us to not do something, to step back and just be. Meditation, I believe, teaches us to step back, empty ourselves, and pause. Next slide, please. Why do we do this? Meditation's impact changes the brain size and structure. So we know we have the gray matter. The gray matter, more wrinkles, is more intelligent. With age, the wrinkles on our brain begin to flatten up due to aging and due to stress. So meditation allows these wrinkles to form again, improving intelligence, cognition, and memory. It allows us to reduce the distracting thoughts, focus in ourselves, and stay in the present moment. It also helps to let go of the extra overload on our thoughts because we are having a monkey mind with constantly thinking. So it helps us to focus on the priorities in life and thereby it improves our brain. Next slide, please. Perfect. So it's also going to reduce our stress directly, indirectly boosting our memory, indirectly helping all group organs function better. It brings harmony to the left side and the right side of the brain. You can see the picture before and after changing of meditation. The left and the right sides of your brain begin to activate at once. They are balanced. They help each other. It improves your energy levels, increases the happiness and a feeling of well-being. It also helps you to increase the immunity because your body is now in balanced state. Next slide, please. So we just went over all of these. The stress hormones begin to reduce from the brain. The hormones actually cause a shrinkage in the brain. They help, they flatten the wrinkles and the gray matter, thus aging your brain, and meditation helps to reverse all these effects. Next slide, please. So most times what happens is when we begin to close down our eyes and meditate, we actually go through this, that what am I going to eat? Where am I going to? But it's still very okay. At least you try to be quiet. See what your body and mind tells you. Close the door. Next slide, please. Perfect. So yoga nidra or a state of shavasana is what embodies meditation. This is using meditation to relax completely. This is for somebody who has never learned to meditate, finds it difficult to stay quiet. So this is the first step towards learning meditation. Offers deep relaxation to every part of your body. It also helps to relax the mind because when your body relaxes, automatically the mind also follows. You're fully present in the present moment. There is a complete stillness. And as we settle in our body, we feel comfortable and happy, just in a state of simply being. So, not doing is a state of just being. And you begin to identify with the core essence of what you really are and be comfortable and, and okay with being yourselves. Next slide, please. Do we have a couple of minutes for a quick round of deep relaxation? Or let me just proceed with the slides.
Yeah, I think we can proceed with the slides because we have missed some time in that technical jugglery.
Okay. So, yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay. So, let's focus on what are the key takeaways. So, when you focus on yoga as a word, it comes from the Sanskrit root word yuja, which is union. What is this union about? The body and the mind using the breath. It's also your union with your higher self or your upgraded version. And this could be done with regular, consistent practice each day. I know that all of us are pressed for time. So you just find 10 to 15 minutes each day. Even if these 15 minutes are not at a stretch. So maybe 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the afternoon, 5 minutes in the evening. And if you're just simply doing chair yoga, use that time when you are in office or at work. Most importantly, become completely aware. So it's not really about the practice, what you are doing. These can be simple practices, but just by how you are doing it, you can have a full benefit. Become completely aware of what you're doing. You are fully focused and present in the present moment. So when you're doing one action with your body, allow your breath to also focus there, slow down and deep breathing, and your mind focus on that action. If there are any thoughts that come to you which are distracting, allow these thoughts to just come like a cloud, go away like a cloud. Do not attach yourself to that thought and get engaged. It's okay to feel the thoughts. You are never going to be feeling empty when you just begin, but just let it come and let it go. Just like you see a movie. It just comes and one scene is replaced by the next. So just be present, just be empty, just create that sense of void, which gives you an insight. So being empty allows for a fullness. All of us are so full, we cannot get new because our hands are full. So just empty yourselves, your body, your mind, your thoughts, slow down your breath, and with slowing down, hold your breath in and hold your breath out. That's the moment. Be in the present moment. And if you get this, that's the complete essence. Next slide, please. Now, there are some questions that may come to you, and I'm going to talk about these briefly. Is it that only when you do it long term over a long period of time you can start seeing results? It's not like that. Even if you do it for 5 minutes, after the first 5 minutes, if you're doing it correctly, trying to understand the logic behind it, and embodying the core essence of what you're doing, you can see results in the first 5 minutes of your practice as well. And I mean also with the physical persons or the breathwork, pranayama, or the meditation. Meditation, even though the word is complicated, it's actually very easy. Just sit quietly, use guided meditations available on social platforms, or just watch your breath. You could also use your sensory perceptions. Say, for example, close your eyes and just listen to the sounds around you. You could feel the sensations that arise in your body. You could sense the smells in the room that you're sitting in. And you could also feel the presence of things moving around you. Use your sensory perceptions to quieten you up. Next, is yoga competitive? And does it help in strength building? With all of these gyms mushrooming everywhere and everybody talking about cardio health and strength training, does yoga really help? It does tone your muscles. It helps to improve your strength, and not just physical, but also mental strength or resilience, and the ability to pick yourself up after you fall down. And yoga is competitive, but the competition is not with somebody else. The competition is with yourself. Because we saw yoga is the union of yourself today with your upgraded version. So it is obviously competitive, but the beauty is you're competing to become the better version of yourselves. The competition is not external, but internal. And as we see, yoga has a 5,000-year-old tradition, but it is still relevant today because you can use it, modify it according to the contemporary times, adjust it to your modern lifestyle, and make full use of it. Utilize the benefits from it. And if you have any questions, feel free to come over and I'll be happy to answer them. Next slide, please. And this is just a funny way of saying that I hope I did not bore you guys at the end of your evening, a heavy day of brainstorming. I hope I could become a little use. I could make a little contribution to what you already know and enhance your experience. Next slide, please. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak at your FTP program. And I hope I was able to contribute a little bit. Thank you so much. And here are my details. You want to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thanks, Madhumita, for such a nice presentation and wonderful explanation. You related everything back up with the science behind it. And we were expecting, like, we got to know more about our own carbon-based cells and how to increase the memory, how to be more focused, and things like that. So thanks once again. Thanks for taking out the time and doing this session with a short notice. Thanks a lot. So now I hand over this to again Ms. Vaishali Ingle, madam. Thanks again.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
I've joined. I've joined.
Okay, so good evening, everyone, the participants and the invited guests. So for starting with our next session, I would like to introduce to our guest today's invited speaker. It is an honor to introduce our distinguished speaker for today's session, Mr. Prabodh Sabnis. We are incredibly fortunate to have him with us to share his vast knowledge and experience in the field of ASIC physical design. With an impressive career spanning over 22 years in the VLSI industry, Mr. Sabnis is a true expert in physical design, methodology development, and design automation. He has hands on experience in top level and block level physical implementation, as well as in SOC implementation targeted at various technology nodes from 0.25 micrometers to 7 nanometer. His deep understanding of implementation cycles, along with his proficiency in automation scripting languages such as C Shell, Perl, TCL, Make, and Python, has been instrumental in driving numerous projects to successful completion. Throughout his career, Pramod has contributed to a variety of projects involving die size estimation, IO planning, DFT strategy, PNR, and block levels STA, all of which are crucial aspects of SOC implementation. He has worked with prominent semiconductor fabs like TSMC, SMIC, GF, and Samsung, delivering high quality results with minimal impact on design rules and clock timing. Beyond his technical expertise, Mr. Subnis is a strong leader with significant experience in program management and people management. He has led cross functional teams in areas such as synthesis, floor planning, power structure, management, and physical verification, always ensuring smooth collaboration between departments. His dedication to training and mentoring has helped foster the right attitude and skills in his team, which has been key to the success of many projects. In addition to his work in technical domain, Pramod has contributed to pre-sale support where he has assisted in project estimation, proposal making, and technical selling, helping to drive business growth and customer satisfaction. Mr. Sabnis holds a BE in electronics from Vajan Institute of Technology and MTech in Industrial Electronics from Karnataka Regional Engineering College. He was recognized for his academic excellence, standing first in his university during his undergraduate years. Today, Mr. Subnis will be sharing his extensive insights on ASIC physical design, focusing on the methodologies, automation techniques, industry best practices that have helped share his successful career. Let's all welcome Mr. Prabodh Subnis, and we look forward to learning from his vast experience. Thank you. So, welcome, Mr. Pramod Sabnis, and you can proceed with your uh, talk.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for your kind introduction. Good evening, everybody. I may have to cut short my session today, but then I promise to take a good length of this tomorrow once again between 3:30 to 5. I don't know what timing has been communicated, but that's what I understand.
Yes, sir, we have communicated them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. So yeah, as we will go through the cycle today, I will walk you through exactly what's happening in the semicon industry as such, and also what we do in mainly physical design, because that's what I have been doing for the last 25 years now. Um, uh, as was mentioned in the introduction, okay, I have worked with most of the fabs, but predominantly today, if you ask me, it's been TSMC largely, and we have now started working on nodes like N3 and also, which is the most cutting edge today. So let me walk you through the immediate challenges. What the semiconductor ecosystem is, mainly with India in background, because we are also now moving our attention to semicon. So while we hear of fabs getting built and they would possibly start production, we also should not lose sight of what is exactly needed, okay, to basically fuel the industry, right? So it's not just the chip that comes out; it also basically involves a lot of other, like what happened in the automotive industry, right? It's not just making the car; it basically the ancillary units which provide all the supplies and parts, right, which make up the car. So in a similar manner, I'll walk you through this ecosystem. After which I'll take a quick dip in challenges, how the node basically has progressed. We'll start at 2010. I mean, of course, I have started my career starting at 0.35 microns, but we'll take a look at from 28 nm how it has progressed overall. Then we'll take a look at the technology challenges. If I am able to finish or touch upon that, I'll quickly touch. But otherwise, anyway, I'll continue that tomorrow. So yeah, welcome all of you. Let me share. Is there a way to share this? I don't know. And
So you can go to the share content tab.
yeah, I'm trying to go there, but it's actually all getting hidden. So now I can see it. Yes. Uh, window and screen. Okay. Let me know once you can see my screen. Are you able to see?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. Okay, so we'll basically touch upon the semiconductor. Of course, I've seen a couple of presentations myself, and then I see that some of them have indeed touched upon semicon as one of the spokes in the entire industry. We'll walk through this, looking at a semicon ecosystem first. We'll then take a look at technology evolution trends, how the technology basically has moved forward. We'll take a look at challenges that we as PD physical design engineers we face when we are going through our design cycles. We'll take a look. I'll also walk you through the flow. Of course, I mean it. I mean 1.5 hours, 2 hours is not sufficient to do the entire flow in detail. But yes, I'll walk you through the different steps that we carry out. Okay, to take a netlist all the way to GDS and then tape out. I'll take a case study through which I'll walk you through this, and I'll give you some references which you can actually visit to get more idea about this. If you need more questions, I'll leave my one is phone number and second is mail ID. You can feel free to reach out to me and with any question. So coming to ecosystem, right? As I said, we have been hearing about India getting into semicon manufacturing, and it's not just about silicon. It's about even a lot of surrounding things, right? So we have basically four spokes or four things that entities that we'll really hear about in this industry. One is we call them IDMs, right? So these are basically integrated device manufacturers. These are the ones who actually design chips as well as fabricate them, which means they have the capability to design a chip, and at the same time they also have a capability to basically fabricate the chip, right? The companies like Intel, Texas Instruments, Samsung, Micron, Hynix, these are few of those who have this capability. In fact, Samsung, along with TSMC does not design chips. They basically get it designed. Rather, it's the IDMs and fabless companies who design the chip, and then they tape out to TSMC, and TSMC helps them only in fabrication. But IDMs are those who actually even design the chip as well as fabricate them. Next, we come to this entity called fabless. These are the ones who only basically design the chip. Originally, okay, I would say in 70s, 80s, right? We had companies only like Intel and TI, who are IDMs, which means they had the entire jing bang, which makes up a chip design cycle. Which means they could design, they could fabricate, they could get the product, they would do the product sale, and then get the end product out. In fact, not just end product, which is chip, they will also basically get the end system out, which means they could target it to either a laptop or a desktop or whatever, right? So that took up a lot of time. So what the fabs did around that time is that they took away the task of fabrication from these people, so that they could focus more on design, right? So the design and the product sales is now what is done by the fabless people, and these are the companies like Qualcomm, Broadcom, Nvidia, and MediaTek, and these people. So they don't have their own fab, but they will target a design to either Samsung or TSMC or SMIC or whichever fab they want to target to, and get their chip out. Downstream, they will have to of course design their own system and then test those chips and everything else. So it's the fabless companies who now are the engine, okay, in the semicon industry. And what I've told in the different literatures, 40% of the semicon revenue, right, close to 40% comes from the fabless companies. Next, we come to this entity called foundry. This you would have heard a lot. Again, we sometimes call it fab because they are the ones who fabricate the chip. So these are companies like TSMC, UMC, SMIC, and Samsung. Now, Samsung happens to be both an IDM as well as foundry because they do the entire flow, which is starting from architecture all the way to part and all the way to even product. In fact, you have seen Samsung mobile phones, right? Sometimes earlier days, right? They used to have their own SoC, mobile SoC, okay, and then that's what is meant by IDM. So Samsung happens to be figuring in both here as well as here. Whereas TSMC, UMC, and SMIC are pure play fabs who are qualified or who basically take the designs from these fabless or IDMs, fabless basically, and then they will give them the part. TSMC among these, TSMC basically happens to be the largest and the, I would say, company which has the largest market cap. Also in terms of the number of parts that it fabricates. I'm told basically, these companies like Qualcomm, Nvidia, and all, they have to book their assembly line for several months to get their parts.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, the slides are not in the presentation mode and they are not moving.
They're not in presentation mode. Okay.
No, and they are also not moving forward.
Is this? How about now?
Sir, bottom right side, there is the presentation mode or slideshow. If you press F5, Shift F5.
I click that. That's what I am doing. Yeah. How about now?
Still, sir, they are not in the presentation mode.
Let me do one thing. Let me move this. Let me move this away somewhere. Somewhat, I don't know why this is not coming in presentation mode. I am doing this. Right click, see all slides, magnify slides, next preview, review. How about now?
So you can try from the slideshow tab directly.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing actually. How about now? Is it visible now?
It's visible, but still not in the full presentation mode.
Not in mode. Oh, I see. Okay. Toggle subtitles. Okay, let me. What do I do with this? This is what we press, right? Are you able to see my slides?
Yes, the slides are visible.
Yeah, but then this is what I'm trying to press. But this is. Let me see. How do I do that? If I go back to this and try to share, let me stop sharing. And let me put this in the slide mode first. And now, if I have to, where is that thing gone? Yeah. Share. Screen window tab. Window, this one. Share. What about now?
Yes, sir. It's in the presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Let me know if this moves forward. Is it moving forward?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. So yeah, so I was mentioning about foundry, which is also called fab, and TSMC, UMC, SMIC are the pure play foundries, whereas Samsung, since it's an IDM, basically integrated device manufacturer, they also figure in both design as well as the fab. But having done this, right, once the part is fabricated, okay, they are basically called bare die. Okay, they are called bare die, which is the design is still on the wafer, and they are all together. So you might have seen the pictures of wafers. I'm sure many of you would have seen that. Some of you also might have seen a wafer. But then what the wafer contains is basically it will have multiple dies. Okay, say for example, if it's pertaining to a particular design for a particular company, right? It will have say 70 to 100 dies, and then these dies are still not packaged, so they have to be cut. That's what is called dicing procedure, and then they are diced and then sent to the packaging house, right? This packaging house basically it's an outsourced work, and these are called OSAT. Okay, this is basically outsourced semiconductor assembly and testing, right? So these parts first have to be assembled in a package, okay, in a desired package, and then once these are packaged, the packaged product or packaged part, we call them packaged part, comes out, and then it is tested. But testing does not happen in the functional at a functional frequency. So first, so when you go on the tester time that the company books is extremely costly. So what they do is they basically, you might have also read about this DFT modes, right? Different mode. They have scan mode where the all the flops in a particular design, okay, are connected like a shift register, right? And then they pump some patterns from input of the primary inputs, and then they gather the patterns at the primary output, and then they compare that primary output with the golden signature or golden expected output. And if they don't match, it's a fail. If they match, it's a pass. So there will be some set of patterns that need to be passed, and that is what happens in testing. Right? So that needs to be done as quickly as possible. So it does not involve functional testing. It is basically to make sure that the chip which has come out from the fab has been manufactured without defects. It will basically catch defects both in logic as well as memories, right? So these are typically companies like Ace Global, Amcor, largely located in South Korea, right? And they are the ones who basically assemble and test the part. Testing facility, in fact, is available even in Bangalore. Okay, we have a company called Tesolve, okay, who do testing to some extent. So that also figures into it, but they don't do assembly yet. Now, this forms the overall ecosystem, a semicon ecosystem. So what today we are targeting, okay, what I hear, okay, is only the foundry part, right? It is the others. This is basically this also OSAT, okay, also has to be available or present that time when the parts come out, okay, so that the entire thing gets done in India. Okay, if at all, say for example, the fab is in India and then we have to send the parts to countries like Korea and all, it involves that much more cost, right? So this ecosystem has to be built, right? Still, so we don't have this yet, and I think there are some companies now I see who have started providing services in packaging, because assembly is not just taking the dice and putting it in the package and that's it. There is a flow involved even in that. So there is some design work which is also involved in that. And in fact, nowadays, to cater to a huge amount of integration which is happening, right? We need to we now have something called advanced packages, which is like 3D, 2.5D kind of packages, where we actually assemble different chiplets together and then we connect them together on package, right? So earlier we used to have a term called design reuse, right? In around 2005 time frame, right? We used to have IPs, okay, which are repeatable. For example, a DDR controller or DDR5 or say PCI controller. These are some standard interfaces, right? So these are basically parts which can be repeated. They can be basically hardened, right? The IP can be made available off the shelf, which means someone has already written it and it can be repeated or just instantiated multiple times and can be used. They were called reusable parts. Now we have got one step further. We now have chiplets, right? And these chiplets basically are assembled on package, right? And then they are connected on package. So this is basically now advanced packaging, and those services now are being offered in India. So there are some companies which have started, offering those services. So along with physical design, DFT, RTL design verification that you might have already heard, you will start now hearing about a new term which is packaging services, right? And in fact, the company which I've just helped found recently, which is Cubic Semiconductor, we are going to be involved in this packaging also. Apart from this, along with this, right, it's not just these four, okay, who are the basic engine. A lot of work is also done by these IP vendors, which provide us the IPs, right? Because a lot of IPs actually not every company makes. Okay, if some IP is already made, the thought process is why reinvent the wheel, right? So if something is say DDR controller 5 or DDR5 controller is needed, someone already has designed it and it's available as an off-the-shelf part, either in a hardened form, which is actually a final tested GDS, silicon tested GDS, or even in an IP form, a soft form, which is basically an RTL available to you in an encrypted manner, so that you can synthesize it and then use it in your design. So that comes from the IP vendors. So these IP vendors will have their own profile or portfolio of IPs. Typical companies here are, one is the EDA vendors themselves. For example, Synopsys itself has its own IP portfolio. So they have a group which design IPs and they actually prove it in silicon, and so they have a silicon proven IP, which many IDMs or fabless companies they purchase and they use it in their SoCs. Then Cadence also has its own IP team, which makes IPs, and that also are basically available off the shelf. There are other IP vendors who also are into either hardened IPs or soft IPs, like ARM is there, another one, right? So these are called IP vendors because they provide IPs. Next is the library vendors, because every our designs basically will have standard cells, IO cells, macros, IPs, and everything else. Now, this needs libraries of some certain type. For example, if you are doing verification, you may need a Verilog model, right? If you are doing, say, a physical design, you will need so many library files, like say a technology file or say .lib file, which is a timing model. So all the models are required. So these are the files, or these are the libraries which will come from entities called library vendors. There are many of them in the world. But again, if the generally the IP vendor himself will give the libraries for the corresponding IPs. But for standard cells and everything else, there are different companies who make those files. Next is the tool vendors. Now, this of course, these are Synopsys, Cadence, and Siemens, who provide tools for us to do this entire chip design. Of course, each of them come with its own strengths. They're all excellent tools. In fact, they today are capable of doing designs all the way down to N3. I also have started hearing about N2 and those kind of nodes. So this comes from tool vendors, largely. These are Cadence, Synopsys, and Siemens. Cadence and Synopsys basically cater to the entire PNR process, starting from RTL all the way to, say, exported GDS. Then we have to still take the GDS and prove them by running them through steps like DRC and LBS, which is called physical verification. And those tools typically come from Siemens. So these three entities put together, they form the tool vendor ecosystem. Then for fabs, we have specialized material vendors and also the wafer vendors. Basically, they purchase wafers from outside. They may not be making it themselves. Some of them, of course, make it themselves, but some, they take it from outside. So there are material makers. So these also form part of this overall semicon ecosystem. Any questions on this?
Participants, if you have any question, you can ask.
Please go ahead.
Okay, sir, you can carry on.
Okay. So while we just saw the ecosystem, let's see briefly what are the steps involved in chip manufacturing. So we first have the chip design, where what we do is we take an RTL or we write an RTL. We verify the RTL in one line, and then we take the RTL, we synthesize it. So synthesize basically looks at the implementation part, where the logic that you have actually behaviorally written, okay, the behavioral code which is available, it is translated to logic domain. And once that is done, you put features like DFT into it to make it more testable. And once you do that, okay, that is then taken forward, and you do physical design on that, which is basically translate that entire design from logical domain to physical domain, and then run through the entire place and route process, physically verify it, run all the sign-off checks on that, and then you tape out that. Once you tape out, it comes to this step 2, which is chip fabrication. Now, chip fabrication itself will have multiple steps internally, okay, which is done in the fabs. And once they do that, once they verify it at their end, okay, they churn out the dice. The dice then goes to the assembly and testing, who will actually assemble the die and then give us a finished part, right? So as we saw before, chip design basically is done by the fabless companies. They have the capability to run the design through all the steps. Chip fabrication done by the foundries, and IDMs will do both chip design and fabs. We have also seen who are these IDMs, and the OSATs are basically the ones which do the assembly and testing. Again, assembly and testing, when I'm saying in one breath, does not mean that these two happen in the same place, need not happen in the same place. There could be some company who does assembly, some company who do testing. There are some who do both, which is Amcor and Ace Global, right? So they are called OSAT. Yeah. What are the drivers basically for this technology improvement? Now, we have seen, the technology nodes have really, lowered a lot. The transistor structure itself has changed a lot. A quick look at that trend is here, right? So we have This actually I've borrowed from a presentation from Kevin Zhang. He is actually one of the founding members of TSMC. And it's a beautiful video. I put the link over here. You should actually go through that. It's a close to an hour video, but he has basically touched upon all these trends which we are going to talk about. So here, as I said, right, we started with N28. This was one of the earliest advanced node, I would say, right, which had high K metal gate, and it was one of the today. In fact, if you ask me today, it's one of the most stable nodes, which actually gives you best of both worlds. It gives you good density as well as good performance. I have seen designs, working or done close to about 1 gigahertz using 28 nm. Though it's a bit difficult, you have to really churn out the entire logic and get that frequency. But it's possible, right? So 28 nm today, if you ask me, is the most stable node. Most companies who actually don't need this kind of advances, they rely on N28. In fact, most of the automotive, I would say, industry used to work on N28. Moving further, we had an N22. I think from Intel or so. I think Intel had this Tri-Gate, which was created, right? So Tri-Gate actually had the channel, right, which is the source drain, the channel part, right, is basically covered from all the three sides. Okay, it was a 3D kind of a transistor. If you visualize, the bulk CMOS is basically a planar structure, right, where we have source drain and then there is a gate, and the area below the gate, directly below the gate, will form the channel. That channel basically is pushed up, okay, and now the channel is covered from all the three sides by gate, and the control of the drain current control is much better. That was basically N22, which was created by Intel. Moving forward, we had N16, then N10, and then N7. But today, if you ask me, among the FinFET nodes, so this from N22 onwards, okay, is basically FinFET. Before that, it's planar, okay. And today, if you ask me, among FinFET, so wherever the need is for say low leakage and high density, high good integration, they will depend upon N16, which is a very, very stable node with very good yield, right? Then we had N10 in between, but I didn't hear too much about it. But N7 is where we again heard a lot. Again, N6 was a mid node, which then moved to N5. So N7, N5, and N3, right, are the ones which are pretty known and are prevalent right now. Okay, so most designs get done on one of these nodes, and then what is now being heard about is these nanosheet nanowires based, okay, N2, right? So this is a brief, I would say trend, the way the industry has gone. Coming back to the previous slide. So it's a frequency which actually pushes the performance envelope, right? Obviously, because we had initially we had 1G, then we had 2G, 3G. Today we have 5G. We are also talking about 6G coming into picture. So with this, the data rate is actually actually exploding. We have 6G. If it comes, it will be extremely fast. But then we need to also have capability. The technology has to have the capability to get us chips at that frequency, right? So that's what is pushing the envelope, right? Same thing about Wi-Fi, same thing about Bluetooth, right? We had initially Bluetooth, which was pretty slow, but today it is ubiquitous. It is basically you find Bluetooth, Wi-Fi almost everywhere, right? Most of the devices will have Bluetooth as a normal feature. There's nothing special about it. Wi-Fi as a normal feature, right? So these are the ones which actually push the technology node. And what I've not mentioned here, okay, of course, which is now today, if you ask me, it is very obvious. Can someone tell me what it is? I have not mentioned one particular thing which is pushing it very hard today, especially in the last 1 year. Anyone? Am I missing AI over here? Right. So AI is something which is now pushing the limits, both in terms of area as well as in terms of frequency. Yeah, please. Any question there?
Okay. No, sir.
Yeah, sure. In terms of transistors, if you see here, right, we have the trend from 10, 7, 5, 3, and 2. If you see, the metal pitch is getting lower and lower. So these fins, which you see, the red ones, they are basically source drain fins. which was not there in case of bulk CMOS. It happened only with FinFET, right? Um, uh, so this is source drain fins. These are dummy polys, which is the purple colored, and the dark blue color in between is the actual poly, which is active poly, active gate they call it. So these are the dummy gates which are added now to protect the main active gate here. So this, if you see with the technology node shrinking, right, the transistor size itself has shrunk a lot, right? And with this, now what has happened is, in turn, because the devices, the source drain has come closer and closer, the metal profile has basically changed a lot. So metal profile, which was initially flat and horizontal, has now become vertical. As a result, what has happened is, okay, to maintain the resistance the same, okay, they just turned the wire. So what was initially the width has now become the height, and what was initially the height has now become width, right? But with that, what has happened is the side wall now is very high, very tall, and when there are wires with that high side walls running for some distance, the crosstalk effects are much more, right? So that's what has happened today. So in terms of delay, if I have to talk about delay, the delay has just increased. This is captured only up to 100 nm, but this just increases too much. The interconnect delay basically has increased. Cell delay has fallen, but overall is basically it's all offset. Right? So we need to now take a lot of care when we do PNR, okay, to make sure that the nets don't run long. We have to take extra care that the crosstalk impacts are not seen, right? So so metal pitch, as I said, is reducing, and as a result, the crosstalk impact is felt a lot. This talks about the overall lithography trends. Now, what has made it possible for us to have these nodes like 3 nm, 7 nm, 10 nm is because even the lithography is advanced. Now, what it means is, so the photolithography process, right? We have a laser and which actually will actually create those geometries on silicon, of course, through a different process. Now, imagine this, that if I want to draw, okay, a 1 mm line, but I have been given a brush, which is say a 100 mm kind of a brush. Will I be able to draw it very accurately? Not, right? That's the same analogy over here. My node is, say, for example, 7 nm, which means I want to draw a 32 nm wire, but I'm given a say, a 157 nm kind of a laser signal. Will I be able to draw it? So, which means I need to take additional adequate care and make sure that the geometry is reproducible. But that itself has now advanced, and if you see, there are some zones here, right, where the wavelength is slightly lesser than or close to the actual technology node. For example, here, if you see, right, we have 100 nm as a node, and we are just close to here. 150 nm is the wavelength. Again, here also, if you see, 16 nm is the node, whereas 13 nm is the UV. So the actual wavelength is 13 nm, which is quite close, right? So, but there were times when the technology node was small, but the wavelength was high, right, in the initial period. So that's where the trend has also been. So it's not just where we have seen trends on silicon side. We've also seen a lot of advancements on packaging. We have seen a lot of advancements on lithography. So overall ecosystem, right, has moved forward a lot, and that has made it possible today to have devices which are making us possible to talk about even say automated cars and features like that. Yeah. I'll stop here today. These were the few advancements that have happened. So we'll touch upon these things tomorrow. I'll walk you through the challenges which we as PD engineers face at different stages. And then, of course, we'll talk about a case study where I have directly was involved in this. So I'll talk about how we went about doing this particular chip. Right? Any questions?
Participants, if you have any question, so we'll take the questions down.
Okay, fine. Thank you for your time. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. So thank you for this very nice session. So it is my pleasure to propose a vote of thanks to our distinguished speaker, Mr. Pramod Sabnis, for his enlightening lecture on ASIC physical design and all the recent trends and advancement and about the semiconductor ecosystem and its importance. And his lecture was not only informative but also very engaging. So we are looking forward to the next part of this session tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. And we'll continue this tomorrow. And now I hand over this session to Dr. Vanita Agrawal.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so
See you
much.
tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Saima. Uh, so, should we take a 5 minutes break or should we start? Like, Dr. Pranav, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Good evening, everyone. It is indeed my pleasure to introduce today's resource person, Dr. Pranav Bhagwan Pawar, a very young, dynamic, and passionate, uh, enthusiastic lecturer. So, he is an esteemed academic and researcher with expertise in nanomaterials, energy storage, and water remediation. Dr. Pranav currently serves as a faculty member at COAP Tech. He completed his postdoctoral fellowship and PhD at IIT Bombay and holds an MTech in nanotechnology from VIT University, along with a solid foundation in electronics and telecommunication. Dr. Pawar's research spans the synthesis of nanomaterials with applications in energy storage, water purification, and image processing. He has made a significant contribution to prominent journals such as Nature Scientific Reports, Materials Today, and the Journal of Power Sources, focusing particularly on graphene oxide and supercapacitor electrodes. In recognition of his outstanding research, Dr. Pawar received the IC Impacts Excellence in Academic Award through the University of Alberta Research Experience Program. His pioneering work on graphene based water purification was presented at the Materials Research Society Fall Meeting and Exhibit, and his innovative research continues to influence the scientific community. Dr. Pawar's contribution to water deionization and energy storage technologies have earned him accolades, including the Best Poster Award at the National Conference on Advances in Chemical Engineering and Science and the Young Scientist Award. In addition to his research, Dr. Pawar is dedicated to teaching and mentoring students. He brings extensive experience in research techniques and instrumentation, including nanomaterials synthesis, cyclic voltammetry, X ray diffraction, and atomic force microscopy. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Pranav Pawar. We are indeed excited to learn from his wealth of expertise and groundbreaking work in nanomaterials. Welcome, Dr. Pawar.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. So today's lecture will be of exploring quantum horizon and introduction to the quantum material-based devices also. So in this one, we're going to talk about. So we will start from basics so that we can understand what the quantum is. Okay, and then slowly we will move towards the chemistry, physics, and then finally into the electronics. Okay, and then how to build such devices through which we can able to store a bit. Okay, so what are the different principles which we will be using for quantum horizons. So why we need the quantum? Okay, uh, so before going for that we must know, so everyone is going towards how to win this particular quantum world race. So in 1990 only USA and Canada and UK they have started their quantum research in 1990, and India just now it has started. So we have a long road to cover before the other one reach, or we need to reach the expectation of the current world situation. The way USA, Canada and the UK they have their own quantum devices, the way they have developed the single photon generator and detectors, India is almost about to reach to that position also. So since this year the India has launched Quantum Mission of India on 19th April 2023 of 6,000 crores. In this one, the India will going to support the quantum computing, quantum communication, quantum sensing and metrology, as well as quantum material and devices. So for this, all these four era, in that one, the quantum mission has asked for the proposals also, which they have given to the known institute, those who are already started working in the quantum. So like ICER Pune, IIT Bombay, so they are already started working on this particular topic. In ICER Pune, they have also launched one course through which we can able to understand what is the quantum technology, what is quantum computing, and we can relate it to the quantum devices also. So this mission will cover the health, financial, energy with application, and in drug design, space, and banking security also. And also apart from this, if you're interested in working on these quantum devices, so you can go for this different application. The first one is imaging. Okay, then for this imaging, which quantum particle or qubit we will going to use, here you can see there are different particles through which we can able to store the bits. So either it will be the electron spin through which we can able to store the image, or it will be a photon through which we can able to store the image. Similarly for sensing application, all these four qubits we can use. Then for computing also we can use all these 4 bit. Then for communication and encryption, we can go for photons. And then for position and navigation timing, for that we can go for only ions. And then for atomic clocks, name itself it suggests it will choose only the atoms. Then where this qubit will going to use, and what are the different material which we can use for designing such a device through which we can able to store such information. So these are the different materials which are we can synthesize or we can research for developing qubits. So first one is NV center in diamonds. So these are like nitrogen doped diamond or the nano diamonds material. The way you can see the candle, so candle is giving a certain black color particles which are coming out when you are starting burning or light up a candle. So those particles are nothing but the nano diamonds, okay, carbon diamond. If you dope those diamonds with the nitrogen, then we can able to have this particular particle for storing a bit. Then ion trap is another example. Then quantum dots of the different nanomaterials. Then superconducting circuit like aluminum trioxide, then titanium nitride and silica. Okay, so like that we can have a different combination of a superconducting material. Then neutral atom we can use for storing a bit. Two-dimensional material like graphene and silicon, or any 2D material of the carbon family we can use it. Then another silicon isotope 28 of the weight. So that particular silicon also we can use for the storing a single bit. Okay, then before we don't know what a quantum is. So all these four different phenomena are mystery for us. So the first mystery is atomic absorption spectra. Like each and every atom shows their own spectra when we shine a certain amount of energy of light on that particular atom. Like sodium shows this spectra of absorption and emission. Like that nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen too. So once we so when we have how this particular atoms are behaving or electrons are behaving for this particular elements, okay, so this was a mystery. The another one is a stable atom. Okay, as we know, each and every atom, okay, has its neutron, protons and Higgs bosons which binds those protons and neutrons, whereas the electrons are revolve around that particular nucleus. Then these electrons, when we are considering it as a particle before, so we must think if a particle has its energy and it's revolving means it will going to lose its energy. At that time we were having question, these electrons are losing their energy by revolving around the nucleus, then why they didn't fall into the nucleus? Okay, so that particular thing is a mystery. Then another one is black body radiation. Each and every body which is in the nature, so they have their own radiation, so they will absorb all the electromagnetic radiation which are available in that particular system, and they will emit a certain radiation. So that radiation we called it as black body radiation. So each and every object has its own black body radiation, even human being also. So according to that, so we didn't know from where this particular black body radiation comes from. Another one most important, which is most prominently explained, the quantum mechanics, okay, or how the classical physics is different from the quantum physics. So this is what the photoelectric effect means. We are shining a wave and it's emitting the electron which is a particle. Okay, then how is it possible? We are giving a wave and we are getting a particle. Okay, so this particular photoelectric effect is not explainable by the classical mechanics or classical physics. So that's why we need to know what is a quantum mechanics or quantum physics. So this journey has started from 1871. The first thing has happened in the science is Rayleigh scattering, where Mr. Rayleigh has developed or postulate that when a photon is striking on the particle, so those particles will going to scatter the light. So most of the lowest wavelength uh, photons or the energies, so they will scatter. So that's why the sky looks like a blue in color. Okay, so that particular Rayleigh had explained. The next theory is photoelectric effect, which is comes in 1887. Okay, so till now we didn't know, we didn't match or combine these both theory, how this wave and particle are getting combining and giving such a result. Then in 1905, Einstein has developed the equation through which he has predicted that photons or the lights, okay, which is coming, so it's not just an electromagnetic wave, so it's also a particle, a packet of energy, which he called it as quanta. Okay, so that's why that's photons, which we called or which term by Lewis in 1926. Before that, photon is called it as quanta, and from here the term comes into the picture. Like quantum technology means we are having a energy packets which is acting as a particle as well as a wave. So such a mechanics through which we can able to study. So those particular field we called it as quantum field. Then later on in 1923, quantum has explained, okay, quantum scientist who has explained when a particle, okay, which comes into the contact with the X-ray or gamma rays, and this particle will absorb a certain energy and give out electrons, okay, knock out electron, whereas the other low energy of that X-ray and gamma ray will get scattered and give the another X-ray or gamma ray. Okay, so now here it's generating only electrons, okay, means particle, whereas it gets scattered. Now these both phenomena will mix to give the quantum effect. Now to explain this quantum effect, okay, so we use the mathematical equation which further comes into the name that particular equation as the Schrodinger equation, where we can find out the momentum and means the wave nature and particle nature of the electron. And then these phenomena again used in the Raman spectra. Okay, so where photon it comes in contact with the particle will generate a certain energy and different types of wave packet of energy. So that particular thing we called it as Raman effect in 1928. Okay, so like that we got the history of the before the quantum and after the quantum. Okay, so how this particular we reach up to the quantum technology. Okay, then further after having this, even though it's take up to like 70 years to people start research on the quantum materials, then how this particular quantum has foundation. Okay, so this is this double slit experiment. Okay, so in double slit experiment we must know if there are two holes or two opening at the slit and you are passing a particle, so like we are passing some balls to through this, then we can see it will going to, the balls will going to accumulate on the screen where the slit is open. Okay, but as we know the electron is a particle as per the classical mechanics, so that one we can say the particle which is there, so it will going to accumulate at this particular two levels only. Okay, but when we are using or in real practicals, when we are seeing, when we are passing the electron source and then we are observing on the screen where we can see the wave nature of the electron. Okay, means we can say the electron which we consider in the classical mechanics, electron acts as a particle, whereas when we are going for the double slit experiment we can observe the electron also act as a wave. Means electron has dual nature, it will act as a particle sometime and it will act as a wave sometime. So from this particular experiment, further Heisenberg uncertainty principle, okay, and the energy quantization, these both combine to give us the Bohr's atomic model. So from this we can understand the electron is acting as a wave and also acting as a particle. So this electron is act in such a way that, so each and every electron will have a different energy level. Okay, now each and every energy level, okay, so that will represent different quantum numbers. Okay, so either it will be the s, p or d orbitals or f orbital, as well as it will be the up spin or down spin, or it will be the boson spin. Okay, so like that we can give the different energy level for each and every electron in an atom. Whereas in Heisenberg uncertainty principle, we can say if you know the electron position in that particular orbital, okay, so position we know, then momentum we didn't know. If you know the momentum, then we didn't know the position. Okay, so either one of it we must know, then we can able to calculate the other. Okay, so that's what the Heisenberg uncertainty principle tells us. So now these particular all these topics, okay, how we can relate and how to understand, it must be theoretical, you guys get bored. Okay, so let's understand it through a song. Okay, so how the molecules get the shape of us.
A dot isn't the best way to try to sum up how electrons come and go. They are the states of a matter field that follows an equation that Dirac wrote. The Schrodinger part of the whole equation will just lead in sub C when it expands. Now get that cool thumb and add it in with the proton and watch them start to dance. It's hydrogen, it's like, oh proton, I feel your tug. Central potential, dip down, pulling on me. But I'm not falling in deep. Know that would break uncertainty. Say, oh, electrons move too much. Slow down your pace and put that orbit on me. Come on now, follow my lead. Come on now, follow my lead. Orbitals take the shape they do, the stable states of the quantum rules. And when one approaches two, they combine and they're bonding. Thus hydrogen as a rule is found in nature as H2. Energy configuring a molecule, diatomically bonding. High, low, high, low, high, low, high. Diatomically bonding. High, low, high, low, high, low, high. Diatomically bonding. High, low, high, low, high, low, high. Diatomically bonding. Energy configuring a molecule. When orbitals take the shape they do. One half spin will give a left on a twin, one up, one down in the ground state. With S and P and quadruple degeneracy, the second shell can be filled up with 8. The higher angular power spread out like beautiful flowers and middle families that come into play. Well, here's a carbon with 6C. This ain't nothing tricksy, but we're gonna make some methane today. With hydrogen, it's like, oh, atoms, I feel your tug. Got my electrons plugged out, pulling on me. Come on now, settle around me. I'll hybridize to sp3, say, oh, carbon, here's our touch. Spread out 109.47 degrees. Come on now, follow our lead. Come on now, follow our lead. Molecules take the shape they do, combining states of the quantum rules. Like when a shell goes sp2 for sigma pi double bonding, and that's widely as their purview. They spread it in the molecule. Look at benzene in a ring, they hold it too. Aromatically bonding. Low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. Aromatically bonding. Low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. Aromatically bonding. Low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. Aromatically bonding. Look at benzene in a ring, they hold it true. When orbitals take the shape they do, come bond with me, baby, come bond. 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 Polymers take the shape they do, combining base level residues like RNAs, ACGU. With their hydrogen bonding, peptides make a chain and group, and gain of plate sheets and corkscrews. With the secondary links they fold and move. They're all over your body. Come on with me, baby, come on. Come on with me. They're all over your body. Come on with me, baby, come on. Come on with me. They're all over your body. Come on with me, baby, come on. Come on with me. They're all over your body. You're a chemical machine, it's best to do. The molecules take the shape of you.
Okay, so like this, I think all of you understand how the postulate which are based on quantum, it helps us to understand the different molecule which we form. They have the high and low energy also. Then accordingly, it will going to combine to form a molecule, and then finally our human body also. Okay, so this was firstly explained by the by Rishi Kashyap in Kanat Sutra also, where he has explained the electron which is in the universe is also the same electron which is in my cell. Okay, so the electron which is there and here, they have the same property, but their behavior will going to change according to the atmosphere which is available around them. Okay, so that's why the electron which is available in the chemicals and the electrons which are available in our body, they behave differently because the area or the atmosphere which is available, so those are the different. Okay, so then accordingly we can say the particle can appear and disappear. Each particle we can treat independently because the environment which is available around them is different. Okay, so likewise, if we know this particular behavior, then we can able to find out the answer from where this universe has started and how it will going to end. Then to understand the quantum phenomena, so these are the different things we must know. So the first one, the particle properties. So we can treat particle, or we can understand depending on their position, their momentum, mass, charge of the particle. So these are the different properties which we can consider, through which we can able to understand how this particle will going to behave. Then next is quantum superposition. So it nothing but like a C wave, okay, where a single particle will going to have a certain level. Okay, a physical system can exist in multiple state at the same time. Okay, so for example, the cat example everyone's know, a cat in a box. So either we can imagine, so that particular in a box, either it will be dead or alive. Okay, but that just not the case. That case only in case of the basic electronics which we have, whereas in quantum phenomena or in quantum electronics, we can say that particular cat is neither live or neither dead. There will be a state in between. Okay, either that cat will be dancing, or that cat will be eating, or either it will be dead and live at the same time also. Okay, so it can be possible because of the quantum superposition. Then next term is quantum spin, boson spin, fermion spin, which we understand in the previous slides. Like each and every electron has these particular numbers, which able to separate the electrons from each other based on the energy criteria. Means each and every electron in that particular atom have a different energy level, which we can easily split by using these spin numbers. Whereas the another phenomena which we have to understand is quantum entanglement. Means if these spins are coming in contact with each other, so they will have a certain another energy levels, which will go through which we can't predict the behavior of those particular quantum spin based on their individual spin behavior. Okay, then how this, so we will going to understand in the next slide. So before going for that, let's see how this quantum computing is differ from the classical computing. So classical computing has only two bits, 0 or 1, whereas qubits in quantum computing has 0, 1 and in between them also. Okay, so those are the superpositions. Then the data which is created, okay, in the classical computing, they don't have any restriction to store, whereas in quantum computing there are many probabilities, so we must have certain restriction to store such data. Whereas in classical computers have less compute power, in quantum computing it required high power. Why is it so? Because the number of positions which are available in the qubits are higher, whereas in classical computer there are only 0 and 1. These are the only two positions. So it's required higher power in case of quantum computing. Classical programs which are there in the classical computing are easily fixed. So this is what the input, so you will get this much is the output. Whereas in quantum computing, the output depends on the probability. So its answer will be always a probability based. So the input is this, so it's not necessary you will get the same output in the next iteration. So you have to make, or that particular quantum program has to understand to get the more and more accurate results, so it has to run multiple times so that you can get the higher probability for getting that particular output. The classical computer, they use bits to store the data, whereas quantum use the qubits. The classical computing, the each and every bits is independent, whereas if you go for the quantum computing, the bits are dependent. Classical computer has one state, either it will be 0 or 1 at particular instant, whereas in quantum computer it has multiple or state at the same instant. Either it will be 0, either it will be 1, or it will be 0 and 1 at same time also. So let's see how this particular qubit works. So qubit, it's easy to understand by this particular the physical form. It's a sphere and it consists of an arrow which denotes the spin of that particular qubit. So now this arrow, either it will be, it point towards the 0 or it will point towards the 1, through which we can understand either it will be a 0 bit or 1 bit. So we can say the probability of getting 0 and 1 is 50%. Okay, but it may be possible we can get the qubit in between that. Okay, so either it will be at a certain different angle or the different position. So like that, this probability will change according to the position of this spin. Now this spin, if we combine two qubits, okay, then what will going to happen? So this single qubit will have a probability of 50-50%. When we put these two qubits together, okay, so these two qubit will going to entangle and they will going to give a 2-bit system. So these 2-bit system will get combined to give a certain probability of different position. Either it will be a 5% for 0 0, 45% probability of 0 1, then 12% is for 1 0, and 13% is for 1 1. That means all these states are available for this particular instant. Okay, all are available. but maximum probability is of which state? It's 0 1 state, okay, 45%. When this particular spin is shift towards another spin level, so this probability will going to change again, okay. So at that time means 0 0 will get the highest probability, other will get the lower probability accordingly, okay. So like that the number of state, okay, which we can define as per the same as our digital electronics, the 2 raised to n will decide that many qubits value will be available in this particular uh, entanglement of bits, okay. So like that we are getting the output in terms of probability, okay. So these are only the states, so it's not necessary these states only will going to like give those many possible states like 0 0 0 1 1 0, or we can have the different like if 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1, this is what the probability, that will be the one data. Then 0 0 1 1, this is what the percentage of probability, then that any number of data points just by using 2 bits also, okay. So don't get confused like 2 raised to n is there means we have 0 0 1 0 1 1, okay, those 4 bits only we can store like we store in the digital electron. It's not like that. It will be the 4 states are there, but we can have the different probability, means we can have the number of data set can also increase depending on the probability value. The next is interference, okay. If you are using the different number of qubits, it may possible these all bit will going to interfere with each other. This interference we can represent or understand through the mathematical equation form of the qubit, okay. So we call this particular equation as a quantum wave equation. This is what the qubit we consider as a particle. This same particle act can represent it as a wave, okay, using mathematical expression which is quantum wave function. Now each and every state has their own mathematical expression. Depending on this wave function, we get the this particular mathematical values of those each and every qubit. Now interference means all these particular qubits will superimpose, either they will going to uh, add on, or they will constructive interference pattern, or they will going to subtract, means they will going to form a destructive interference pattern. According to all these particular interference pattern will get a equivalent or resultant interference pattern, okay. Depending on constructive and destructive interference, we have this particular mathematical equation at the last. Now this particular mathematical equation belongs to this state, okay. So it will be 0 0 0 0 0 1 0 1 0 0 1 1, like that we got all the possible state, okay. And now each and every state has different probability. Now this probability data function or the wave function has one state in terms of qubit. Like that we can have the different probabilities of those particular wave function which are exist at the same instant, and like that we can able to store the data, okay, in terms of the qubit. Even when qubit like in digital electronics or the real electronics, what have state, either it will be 0 or it will be 1, that's what the data is. Whereas in case of quantum the interference comes into the picture, so we can't say this is what the 0 0, this is what the 1 1. We have to see what's the probability of those state, and then only we can predict this is what the data is. So this is how our complex theory is. So this complexity which can be used further for analyzing and solving the complex equation of the mathematics, and we can easily get the answer in the few seconds. Like the simplest examples is based on the Shor's algorithm. The first algorithm which was developed by Shor, and they have developed algorithm through which we can able to find out the factors of a number. So normally if you go for the classical algorithm, we are going to find out the how to factorize that particular number. So 2 raised to n times we have to use those particular algorithm and solve those many steps, okay, and get the answer. Whereas in case of quantum algorithm, it will be a log of n, okay. So 2 raised to n, it goes to log of n, means so these number of steps are reduced by the 10 raised to something, okay. So that's why we prefer to solve the complex mathematical problem using quantum computing or using the quantum based algorithm, okay. And also the most important problem, which is halting problem, which is mostly faced by the software engineers. Like if that particular program goes into the infinite loop, so whether there is a program which can analyze whether the program will go into the infinite loop or not, okay. So that one is not achievable with the classical algorithm. That can be possible only by the quantum computing, okay. So the another most recent example is of mRNA, okay. So Professor Catalin, okay, so they have developed the software through which we can able to analyze how the viruses which are changing their shape, then which mRNA will be used for getting the antidotes for such viruses, okay. So this software was used for finding out the vaccine or which mRNA can be used for fighting with the COVID virus, okay. So that particular software has helped pharmaceutical industry a lot during COVID period for finding out the vaccine. So that's why they got the Nobel Prize in that era. Okay, so this particular software, okay, they run through the classical computer. So it took months to run that software to find out the mRNA. Whereas if we use that particular software using quantum computing or quantum computers, then it's easy for us to get that particular answer in one day also. Okay, so that's why there is need for having a certain quantum simulation, okay, where through which we can able to predict result in few days or in few hours also. So we can find out the electronic property of a material, or we can easily find out how those chemicals will going to react, and then we have that particular antidotes for those particular viruses. Or for the other application like sensing application, energy storage application. Now we know how this particular quantum has used. So these particular qubits can be used for storing the data. So this is what a qubit model which we can develop, and we can arrange this qubit in fashion to store a certain data. Then all these qubits are single, they behave differently. If they come into a group, and they will behave differently. So this particular qubit we can represent as this mathematical or form, where we have a Hamiltonian function of a Schrodinger equation, and there are certain interference, constructive and destructive interference, and they will give a certain bit of this particular probability, okay. So probability here you can see these bits will act as 0 and 1 at a same time, okay. So we can develop a model or a quantum computing based software which can easily find out the probability of all this particular constructive, destructive, interference, superposition of these qubits, and then we can have a state, okay, through which we can able to store the data using this quantum bits, or we can process the data using these quantum bits, okay. So always remember, when you are going for the quantum computing also, you must know what the Hamiltonian function is, what the quantum physics is. If you know how that particular material will behave, then it's easy for you to build a certain quantum computing algorithm, okay, which can process, store, okay, your data set. Then quantum computing can be possible using either adiabatic quantum computing or using a topological quantum computing, okay. These are only two basic quantum computing phenomena which are available and which software people use for developing their quantum algorithm. So for example, if it's adiabatic quantum computing means what? You're going to have a energy level, okay, which is at the zero state or lower energy level, okay. So that zero will always be there, and then according to zero, we will going to uh, find out or us design a algorithm as per the probability, okay, but the reference will be always a lowest energy level, okay. Then accordingly you're going to predict what will be the next, what will be the next qubit or this qubit according to, as per the zero energy level. So this is what the data, this is what we predicted, and then you can train your model. In case of topological quantum computing, so there will be a quasi state of a particle, okay. Quasi name itself it suggests this particular particle is not available or exist in nature. It will be a bunch of qubits, okay, and then they will behave in a certain manner at that particular instant. So that instant we're going to stabilize and consider as a reference. And then when we provide a certain uh, interruption to those particular particle state, so it will behave in a different fashion. Then we're going to analyze how it's behaving for that particular interrupt. So it behaves in such a way, so those probability will assign to a another bit level, okay. So accordingly we have the different state of the quasi particle. So those quasi particle will again combine the different quasi particle to form a bunch of bits, and those bits we can able to store, okay. So it's easy for to, instead of processing a single bit, it's better to process a bunch of bit and their quasi state, and then it's easy for us to find out the probability of that particular system. Okay, now once we know what's the quantum computing is, how those particular quantum works, what are the different quantum phenomena, then we must know what is the roadmap as per our requirement. Okay, so in 2023, okay, as per the IBM, so their quantum roadmap is introduce parallelization of quantum computation. Means we're going to use quantum computation algorithm also, as well as a classical computer algorithm also. They can work together and they can find out the solution for the recent problem. Then next is in 2024, expand the utility of quantum computing. The quantum computing which we did in the 2023, so slowly we're going to move towards the higher level. So we will take less support of the classical computing, and we will try to build algorithm in such a way that they will directly or they will take the most of the support of the quantum computing server. Then next in 2025 we can able to demonstrate the quantum centric supercomputing, okay. So in 2025 we must develop or we can able to reach such a level that we will going to totally independent on, like we're going to totally independent on the quantum computing only. The classical computing we're going to avoid it, okay. But still we don't have the devices which are available, okay, which can process this data, okay. So that's why this advancement we have to uh, move into the real device fabrication also. Then in 2027 we can scale those quantum computing algorithm as well as the devices, so that we can easily process the quantum algorithm which we have already developed in 2025 using the real quantum devices. Then in 2029, so whatever the error which we are getting in 2027, because as we know the each qubit will have a certain probability, those probability will be different, each and every state will be occurred at that particular instant. So to avoid such a error, so we need these many days, okay, these many years, so that we can able to have a trained model of quantum computing, okay. So it will be quantum computing and the devices both will going to train, and we have a final corrected, or we will going to do the correction in that particular quantum algorithm as well as the quantum devices also. Then in 2030, okay, after that we must have a quantum supercomputer with the 1,000 logical bits. Okay, now you can imagine just two bits have 00011011 with different probability. Such a huge data we can store. Now you can imagine with those 1,000 logical qubits we can able to process such a huge data set and with a small instant. Okay, so means we have to understand this quantum computer. If it comes, it doesn't mean it will going to kill our silicon or digital or classical electronic based devices. Okay, so it will not, definitely it will not, because such a huge data set and class quantum computer, they will be used for the solving the bigger problems. Okay, like a search engine. If you're searching, like if you can write there, if you are standing in front of a camera, and then you can say predict what will be my future. Okay, and based on the animal. Okay, so if you stand there, then in classic computer it will slowly process. It will first go to cat, then lion, then tiger. Okay, so it will process slowly. Okay, so it has to search that many data set, and it will start imagining as per your searches on the network, as per your behavior, as per your physical body structure. According to that, it will going to give you the real answer. Whereas if you go for the quantum computers, it will just in a few seconds it will predict what will be your future based on your behavior and everything, and it will give a one animal shape to that. Okay, so like that the quantum computer will be used in the search engines, okay, or in the prediction, or in the sensors, or in the meteorological, through which we can able to say, like if 2030 there is a cyclone, then in 2070 the same cyclone will become, and we can predict it through the quantum algorithm and quantum computer. So that's what we are expecting in the after 2030. Now, once we know how this particular quantum, then what were the limitation of the MOSFET? Like Vanita Mahamad already explained in the yesterday's session, these are what the roadmap, and then we are going towards the nanometer scale. Okay, so but the problem with that MOSFET is it has high leakage current, safe threshold swing limitation for those particular MOSFET. Okay, so such devices which are available in the electronics, so it's not possible for such electronic devices to process the quantum data or quantum software. So what are the different processor which we can, which Intel or the other semiconductor industries they are trying to develop up to 2032? We are expecting like Moore's law will going to follow. Then what are the different cases? Okay, so till now we know this is what the planar fate. Okay, then fin fate. Okay, then the totally covered gate fate. Okay, and then the sheet, or the we can have a nano wire based gate channel region or nano film based gate region. Okay, so like that we can classify, and we have able to overcome these two things, high leakage current and sub threshold voltage, which is there in the planar MOSFET. But still, when we are trying to reduce the sizes of it, still we are having a certain leakage current at this particular fate region. Okay, then how to come like how to get rid of this kind of the uh, limitation which are comes into the picture when you are designing the fate. Okay, so these are what the different fate, we can see the cross section of it. So here it's the wire base. Okay, or it will be the nano film base. So it will be covered using the, then how this particular transistor are fabricated. These are fabricated using the silicon and germanium, those are formed, and then using the etching they will going to read on silicon and germanium layer, those layer will be gone and the silicon will remain as it is. Then we use the atomic layer deposition, which through which we can able to cover these regions. Okay, and we have a one channel. Okay, so like that we have source, drain, and channel is fully controlled. Source, drain, and channel is fully controlled. Okay, so like that we can have और we have increased the number of transistor in that particular single region. ठीक है, तो पहले क्या था, so previously it was just a single transistor for that much area. Now you can see we have increased the number of transistor in that area. This particular transistor is in micrometer, whereas these transistors are in nanometer. Okay, so this nanometer is further we can cover it with the metal gate and we can give it to the periphery. But the reason for these MOSFET also we have one challenge, which is electron tunneling. The electron which is in the gate region, okay, so what we have, it's a metal oxide. Okay, so metal oxide means electron will not going to travel from that particular region, it will just stop there. But what happen in when we are moving towards the smaller size in the nanometer, like Vanita Maham has explained, when we are moving towards the 5 nanometer or 2 nanometer transistors. So in that case, the electron will not behave as a particle. Okay, so that electron here, oxide is saying you are not allowed to go because your energy is less. Okay, now electron what it says, okay, so it's act as a wave and it will appear on the other side. Okay, so this you must have observed in the our mythological serials, okay, in the Sri Krishna or Ramayana, where the Narad Muni comes and he says Narayan Narayan, it will appear on the other side. Okay, from one loka to other loka. Okay, so it's like a Narad Muni was a particle body, it turns itself into a wave and it appears on the other region. Okay, so electron will also have the same thing, it will converts into itself into a waveform and it will tunnel into the other region. Okay, so this is what the limitation of the recent MOSFET. So is it possible to use this particular limitation as an advantage to develop a FET which can easily give us the 0 and 1 bit through the tunneling? Okay, so it's possible, like Dr. Suman Datta, he has from the Pennsylvania University, so he has developed the tunneling FET, T-FET transistor, so through which we can able to, the electron will tunnel and like that we can able to switch. Okay, so we can able to store 0 or 1 bit. So it consists of molybdenum, indium gallium arsenide. Okay, so these are what the nano films. Okay, all these are in the 1 or 2 nanometer films. Okay, and we have the easily the electron will tunnel from one point to the another point. Okay, but the limitation for this one, okay, for this FET also we have a limitation. So it's a smaller in size. Okay, and the current which we required or the voltage we required for turning on and off MOSFET which we used above the 5 nanometer, which is higher. Okay, whereas in case of T-FET, it required very low amount of current for the tunneling. Okay, so that's the only disadvantage for this one. Just for the smaller potential change, the transistor will switch quickly to 0 or switch quickly to 1. Okay, so that's the only limitation. So for that we required the another circuitry in our processor or the circuitry which operate the processor. So we require the another circuitry which can give such a small voltage change. Okay, so that only we have to think of, so that will not going to burn this transistor or we can't change the data which is stored in this particular tunneling transistors. So now we know how this particular transistor and we can develop. Okay, so these transistors are not able to work or develop or process the quantum computing algorithm. Then how to build the quantum computer using it? So quantum computer can be built, okay, as we already know, the quantum bit can interfere with each other, superposition will be there, entanglement will be there. Okay, so that can be possible, but for this quantum computer we have only two limitation or obstacles. The first one is decoherence or entanglement with the periphery. Okay, not in between them. Okay, so it will be with the periphery. Either the cosmic rays which are available in the nature, they will come and turn those particles into the different probability of position, or the radiation which are there, or heat, or the other particle may hit this qubit and they change their position. Okay, so this is what the real obstacle. Okay, so there is another research area which we can think of how to shield these quantum beats or quantum computers so that this beat will not going to interfere with all these periphery noises which are available in the nature. Okay, and so this is what then quantum error correction. So use group of qubit to get perfect logical correct qubit. Okay, so this is what they used for the computing also, which we called it as quasi state. Okay, so the way the quasi state has, so similarly we can use a group of qubits. They can interact with each other, they give a certain quasi state, and then we have one uh, bit and the probability through which we can able to have a bit store in that particular qubit. Okay, then there are different types of
Sir, one second.
yes.
Sorry for the interruption. Sir, actually, you are telling about MOS transistor have a like 1 and 2, but entanglement we want to 360 degrees now. What about remaining things if we are using MOS transistor?
Okay, okay, yeah. So it's
Mm.
like if you are using MOS transistor, okay, then
Mm.
in MOSFET that entanglement will not be there. So that's what I
Yeah.
said. This is what the limitation. We can't process quantum algorithm using the classical electronics. Okay, the MOSFET which are available or the processor which are developed by the using MOSFET, so those processors are not capable of processing computing or quantum algorithm. Okay, so it's not possible. So that's why we need
Yeah.
quantum computers. I hope it's clear,
We
right?
cannot use MOS transistor for that quantum. This is clear.
No, no, we can't. If we use it, so we can use it, but those particular processes will get heat up and they will going to die.
Ah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now there are different phenomena, a different principle which we can use for the developing the quantum computers. Okay, so the first phenomena, all of you aware of it, even you have seen this photo everywhere. Okay, so this particular thing is nothing but what? Superconducting based quantum computer. Okay, so the chip is very very smaller. Okay, it's like a fingertip. Okay, it's there inside it, but this used thing is used for the uh, controlling the temperature or the atmosphere or the periphery of that particular quantum processor. So the quantum processor which made up of superconductor, and all of we know the superconductor is achievable only at the liquid nitrogen temperature. So what are the gold thing which you can see or the pipes which are there which you can see, so they use for flowing those liquid nitrogen in that which will be cooling the system, and the processor quantum bits will be entangled at that particular position with those probability states, and the other optical fibers will be used or the magnetic field will be used through which we can able to store the data in those particular superconducting quantum computers. So this is just one example. This is what the quantum superconducting wires cavity is formed, and we can use the external field is a magnetic field. Using that we can store bits in this particular single cavity. Now these are the superconducting quantum wires. Those are almost in the 1 nanometer around size. So this such a small device can able to store one bit. Like that we can have the so many bits in the smaller chip, and it can store those many qubits at that particular instant, which we can change just by changing the magnetic flux which is going through this particular qubit, okay, or going through the superconducting cavity. So this is just one example. If you change the magnetic field, the qubit will change. Okay, we can use the other uh, field also. Okay, like if you apply the potential, the ultimately superconductor material will going to change its property and we can store the bits also. Okay, like the different peripheral we can use and we can able to store the data in it. The next quantum computer we can develop using the quantum dots. Okay, so in that quantum dot we have applied a certain potential, the one electrode, and the another electrodes are in this particular fashion, where we can apply the another controlled potential. Okay, or we can easily use this particular, again the same thing, through which we can control using the magnetic field, or we can pass on the microwave and we can store the bit. Okay, so these are the quantum dot. They will be like we can synthesize depending on through which we have to control the bit. If it's silicon, germanium arsenide or diamond, depending on our requirement. If it's silicon and germanium arsenide based, then we can easily control through voltage or using microwave. Or if it's diamond based, then we can control it through the another control media. So this is what the structure. We have these small gold electrodes of the nanometer size, and the quantum dots, again those are almost atomic size, and it can easily control their spin position at this particular, using this particular control field. So voltage, so it will be very very small voltage which is in the microvolts. The magnetic field, even that value is also very very low, through which we can able to control the entanglement of these qubits or quantum dots. Okay, so like that we can store the bits in the quantum dot based supercomputers. The next supercomputer which you can see in the market also, the smaller processor which are developed, those are the optical based. Even you can see in the ICER Pune also, they have developed this single photon detectors, single photon generator, and those single photon which we can easily process through this optical quantum computer, or we can easily interact, or we can use mirror, waveplate or interferometer, through which these two photons can interact with each other and give a certain output. Okay, so for example, you have developed a quantum algorithm for addition, then you can use this waveplate and my interferometer over here. Single photon will come from here. Okay, and the another photon will come from here. They will interact at this particular region and they will give the output at this particular detector site. Okay, matlab in this one photon comes, another photon comes, they will interfere with each other depending on constructive and destructive interference. They will give the another light. Okay, this is green and blue you have, it may give orange, it may give the another color, and that color will going to decide what was the answer. Now your algorithm will going to detect that particular electrical signal from the single photon detector, and that electrical signal will convert into value. Okay, so like that we can have a quantum computing algorithm for addition. Similarly, you can develop this optical based and you can have the photons. Okay, so this particular computer, you can watch the Asur series and its last episode. In that you can see the real quantum computer. So that's the only real Indian series. They use the scientific uh, research in the real manner. Okay, so that's what the real, there is no imagination, through which you can see what are those particular quantum computer based output. The next is quantum computer we can develop using the trapped ion computer. So means we can trap one single ion in a device, and that particular ion, okay, so ion is always a charged particle, either it will be positively charged or negatively charged. We'll trap single ion. Okay, single ion. Okay, it means a single atom. You can imagine you are storing a single bit at an atomic level. Now this particular ion, depending on what potential we are applying or what external parameter through which we can able to manipulate that ion, okay, its energy state, and that decide what bit you are storing in it. Okay, so we can manipulate or measure it using the microwave or through laser also. We can able to change the ions, or we can able to give the potential also. So these two plates, we can use a magnetic field, or we can use a liquid nitrogen, or we can use potential to trap that ion in that cavity. Once it trapped, then you can use microwave or laser. Give a single photon, that ion electron will be there, will gain a certain energy. Now this positive ion will go to the another negative level, it will lose its energy or it will gain the energy, go to the higher level. Okay, now that give one state. Accordingly, that if you have the number of ions, those different ions will interact with each other, okay, using the single photon, and they can store the number of bits. So like that we have the huge storage data and the huge processing bits using the single trap ion computer. The next is color quantum computers. So color quantum computer we called it because we are doping those quantum materials or the nano materials with the nitrogen atom. Okay, so here you can see this is what the graphene. Okay, so this is what we have synthesized in our lab during my PhD. You can see this is what the ACM of graphene, and this is TM. You can see the perfect hexagon pattern of graphene. Okay, so these are what the bright spot. They indicate those atoms in a hexagonal lattice. So these are the graphene atom. If you dope with the nitrogen, okay, then they will give a certain color or the different energy state to that particular nano material. Once you dope it, okay, so for example, if you dope silicon carbide or nano diamond with nitrogen, okay, they will give a certain color. Now that color, okay, that color will generate a single photon. Now that single photon detection we must know. Okay, so it can store a single photon also, it can generate the single photon also. For reading this data we require a single photon detector. Okay, so using this we can able to store the data at a very smaller level just by introducing a single nitrogen atom in a nanoparticle. So like that we can able to store the data, or we can develop a color quantum computer also. Then the simplest one and very first developed quantum device or demonstrated device is neutral atom. Okay, so we can store all these particular neutral atoms in a liquid nitrogen in a cavity. Now this particular liquid nitrogen cavity can interact with the single photon or laser, and that atom will going to change its state. Okay, now that state we can easily detect using either the potential change or using the photon change, and that change will going to give us what the bit which is stored in that. Okay, so all these atoms which are there, so they are interact with each other. So if you have stored a single neutral atom, it will behave differently. If you have two atom, then these both atom interact with each other, and same energy or same photon, it will behave differently. Okay, so for imagining or going to store the data, this number of atom, we must know what are the different probabilities which are available, through which we can able to store the data and we can detect the data. Okay, so through which I can acknowledge Atal, AICT and COP, the FDP coordinator as well as participants, and the whole COP ENTC team for giving me chance for presenting the quantum material knowledge whichever I have. I can able to deliver it to all of you, and think we can end this session with the last song, okay, which will going to energize you again. Okay, so we can see how this particular quantum computer will able to work. Okay, how we can have the different gates you at the molecular level. Okay, so let's see how we can achieve this quantum computer at the molecular level.
To plan a nanobot, map out the molecules to span the nanopod. Add all the motors used to man the nanobot. Signals to talk with the commander. Software and logic scramble. Programmed in nanobot. Beginning, you better control the movement. The thermal scrubber. Temperature systems are always moving. Your system's moving. Pieces and links you pick will limit. The states it can us. As it'll randomly shuffle through them. Now force it with the right view. Ordered and energetic. A new gadgets, damn. Next, let's see you handle informatics, bam. Nano informatics, oh, the structure of a cash or RAM. Hey, switches are the way to data saving plan. Living on, living chemically, photochemically, or electrically. Add a provably, then make a little more deep the decisional tree data. If you need a calculator, how be? Logic gates like A not B. Inputs a cation, that's key. And you get a photon as a reading.
So plan your nanobot to be important info scanner nanobot. Reading and writing coded data that align. Freedom to do as you program it. A Turing automatic. Program it nanobot.
Oh, nanobot, doesn't that look like Oh, nanobot, doesn't that look like Oh, nanobot, doesn't that look like Oh, nanobot.
Break me down, I am a meta nanobot. The music model of synthetic nanobot. Working in concert as a replica of a lot. For all I try to be more than it, so sentient and organic, I am a nanobot.
Oh, nanobot,
Nanobot, yeah.
oh, nanobot,
I am a nanobot.
oh, nanobot, oh, nanobot.
I am a nanobot.
Acapella science.
Okay, so with this, I will end the session. Yeah, anyone have doubts? Then you can ask me.
Participants, anyone having any doubts, you can ask.
Thank you, Pranav sir, for the wonderful session. I have
Thank
a
you.
query.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When we are deciding the pattern and deciding the probability, actually it's depending on the probability, no? Last one.
Yes. Yes.
When we
Yes.
find
Yes,
out
yes.
the how that probability is going to differ with the values. We are having different probabilities from 0 to 1.
Yeah. 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 Okay.
So can you explain on this?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So it's like when we are going to see the qubits. Okay. So qubit we can express mathematically using the wave function. Okay. So wave function itself has a Hamiltonian function factor. So that Hamiltonian factor will uh, is nothing but what a probability matrix. That means the spin or the particle or the quantum particle which we are using, okay, so that particular instant the electron will be at what state, okay, at which up spin, down spin, okay, as well as what boson state is there. So that's what it can represent. Okay, so that's why we can say the probability of finding that particular electron at that particular state. Okay, so 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 this particular state is there, it depends on probability, which again we can relate it to the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Okay, so if this is what the electron is at particular state, okay, if you know its position, then its momentum we didn't know. Okay, if you know its momentum, then its position we didn't know. Okay, so that's why we always says the probability of finding the electron at that particular state is this much. Okay, because we don't know whether that electron will behave as particle or behave as wave. So that's why we always express the qubits behavior in terms of probability, because we didn't know that particular particle is acting as wave or as a particle. Okay, so instead of going for the just for if you are going for only particle nature, okay, then classical electronics or classical mechanics can be used, okay, which is already available and through which we can't predict, like or we can't really relate the photoelectric effect of the photons and the particle interaction. Okay, but to understand that we have to must know what's the quantum mechanics, which is based on the probability only. So like that, the electron is behaving as particle or as a wave. We didn't know. If you're considering it as a particle, then you must know like probability at this particular instant, the electron is at this particular position. Okay. If you're considering electron as a wave, then we must know probability of the wave function at that particular instant, the momentum of the electron for that instant, or the probability of momentum of the electron at that particular instant is this much. Okay, means you can consider electron as a particle, so probability of position you have to know. If consider electron as a wave, then probability of momentum of electron you must know. Okay, so that's why the probability is always there when you are going for the quantum or qubits. I
So
hope
it's
it's
not
clear.
depending on the threshold values of the probability, right? It's
No,
just
no.
a probability of different two different things, and then you have to decide like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Then we have to decide. That's true.
Thank you. Okay, but just one more question out
Uh-huh.
of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
In which series, Asur series, part one or part two?
In the
We can
last one,
see, we
last
can see
episode.
someone
Part two, last episode.
part two. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Pranav. You have made this session and very complicated things you made very simple. Like you have particularly applied that NAP policy for faculties also. You made
Mm-hmm.
a very difficult, complicated concept in a very interactive and attractive manner so that we can understand the things. Though these all phenomena, if we basically say, are very complicated and to implement. I want to raise a question in this aspect that
Mm-hmm.
how you think about the costing budget of building such a quantum system comparatively whatever the technology we are now using with the silicon.
Okay, okay, okay. So it's like the costing budget, initially the value will be very, very high. The way we were predicting when we were developing the silicon based solar cell, at that time also the costing of a single solar cell was around in lakhs. Okay, so lakhs, so it's like $1 million you can say. Okay, but now we can see the solar cells and silicon based industries easily are available, and as the time passes, the cost of those same silicon based devices get lesser and lesser. Similarly, if you're going for the quantum computer also, once we know what is the facilities which we required and we can able to get that. Okay, so once we establish a single factory also, so it's easy for us to cut down the cost of quantum computers also in future. Okay, but for now it will be in crores.
So although the roadmap you have shown us in a particular one slide, so,
Mm-hmm.
but still with the current art of state of Indian scientific research, so how much time you think about that the realistic quantum computing system will come in picture in India?
Okay, in India, it's like it will take again 10 to 20 years more, because we have just started the quantum research. Okay, so it's like the quantum computing already is there, people have already worked on it. But for developing the devices, so we don't have those facility. We have to get the support from the foreign researchers or the laboratories, and then we can able to develop the whole quantum computer based on our indigenous one. Okay, so it's like we need support from them, and then only, so it will take again 10 to 20 years, because they took so many years, like 50 to 70 years to develop their technology, so they will not give it so easily. Okay, so either we have to work, or we have to invest the budget which is already a nation has invested in quantum mission. Okay, maybe that much budget required every year, so that we can have the own facility of the quantum testing and quantum standardization laboratory. Through that we can able to match those quantum standards with the international standard, and then we can have our own quantum computers. Okay, so it will take again 20 to 30 years, because standardization again it will take the decades.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Dr. Pranav, and congratulations for such a great presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Suryo. Yeah, so any more questions?
Yeah, I think we come to an end of this session. So yes, participants. So does your heart also say, come on now and follow our lead? So the molecules shape of you. So does your heart says this, or
Yes,
your
yes.
heart? Yeah. So yes, our lead. So in fact, we should follow Dr. Pawar. Okay, he is our lead today, and yeah, really we can shape it. Okay, and we can really plan our nanobot. So thank you, Dr. Pranav. uh, in fact, all the animated videos that you have used for helping our imagination to think about these quantum devices, quantum computing, it really helped our imagination to think to that level and really view and understand it. Your explanation about the quantum superposition, entanglement, interference, somewhere I felt I reached that quasi state. So for the last 1 hour, I was almost at a quasi state, I would say. And I think many of our participants were also in the quasi state. We were not at the stable state levels. So, thank you, Pranav sir. That was really wonderful. Your session was really insightful today and truly inspiring for us to work and explore more in the area of these quantum frontiers and these innovative devices. So it really it was so melodious to hear you, your voice and your pitch, the way you were explaining everything very nicely. Thank you so much for your time, knowledge, dedication, and we were very fortunate today to hear you. So thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Pranada, congratulations. Wonderful and best wishes to you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.